Main and second objective. The main objective is design a new easy-to-play board games prototype to help the fans experience to exciting the world of the car racing. I have five secondary objectives. And the first is to the sport to look at the most important part of the racing and the board games. To design the look at create games style that everything matching perfectly. Three, the game make a working version of the games. We can play you how fun is more important. Four, choose the best box and set the rights and material. And five, screen free phone to help people spend time away from this headphone and computer by playing real and physical games. State of the art context. We start the project with a lot of investigation. We developed usually at the modern running game, especially in the strategy game. Work at the same time until in the same time we learn everything we code about the game currency. One moment, please. With the information starting to study the market, I have two groups the games. The first group, Formula Racing games, HIT, Formula Racing, Formula 90. This is an excellent game, but is more complicated and very big. And have a lot of piece. In the second group is a fast and fun game. Como Happy Salvador, Work and Roll, and Juan. Use small and personal bond with artillery. Finally, the compare this information and make a table. This is how help use the exactly on overcut in the makeup and who would the different from in the computer. On the other hand, we create a briefing, analysis, and work. The typical question, this size, language, passive control, how long, but and work. More important is target. Our card is designed for many different people, but it's starting in the 8 years old because this is age when the children usually start to know what kinds of game games with like best. But our card is perfect for people who prefer to plan the moves and play through the father and you really look, and people who are interested in the motorsport, it doesn't know motor is very big experience and know everything or they just starting in the working sport. Is for my extended target. Literally. When they started the visual design, we get the year from the Formula B Paddle Club, B Paddle Pass, specifically the 2023 season. Using this famous style, we've been to the draw areas and make the first model of the game. Where you can see the initial ideal prototype in the box, and the design from the box, and the cards. Okay. I can see, sorry, I speak Spanish for the explain the game. Bueno, para que se me entienda mejor la funcionalidad del juego. El juego, como ya lo he dicho, es un juego de carreras. Quien logre realizar la cantidad de vueltas primero gana, pero hay pequeños inconvenientes, como pueden ser las casillas de penalización, que dependiendo la carta que saque, retrocede, pero turno, lo típico de para no poder avanzar. Las de penalización solo te afectan a ti. Las de situación de carrera te pueden afectar a ti o al resto de jugadores. Y la de situación meteorológica, como afecta a toda la pista, afecta a todo el juego. ¿Dónde entra la estrategia? A la hora de elegir neumáticos. Si tienes que cambiar neumáticos, ya sea por estrategia o por algún cambio meteorológico, tienes que pasar por la línea que está más larga, que es la de pit, y pierdes más tiempo y pierdes un turno. También entran otras cosas secundarias, como pueden ser los límites de pista, que son las casillas negras, o diferentes tipos de banderas, ya sea roja o amarilla. Sorry. Bueno, I'm going to speak in English to explain the physical games. This is the box. The front. The name of the game, game setting. But we didn't explain in detail. I said I have the definition and the meaning board game. Three compartments in the card, to the card, with the piece, pneumatic of flags, player piece. In conclusion, the objective complete. The main objective to design to activity and innovation board game prototype that bring fans use the world of the motor racing. Check. And the secondary objective to analyze the main chain, the motor racing, to adapt in the board game format, explaining the state of the art. Check. Development, the game visual identity, naming, logo, color palette, typography, and card design, using the aesthetic concept, y lo pueden ver en el juego. Check. To create the functional prototype based the gameplay experience and make adjusted based the usually for experience. Check. Select the most physical format for the game, prototype portability, functionality, and differentiation from the competition. In the order facilitate the transporter, storage using the various contexts. Check. And to encourage digital connection to the tangible game. Check. Thank you very much. Are you there? A question?
Hello, this is my final degree project, and I think you all know me, but I'm Lucía Emilie, and it is named Editorial, Design and Historical Memory, Tribute Book Proposal, Cosas del Abuelo, and my tutor was María Gutiérrez Guerrero. Okay, I'm gonna start by a quote that says, "The mission of art is not to represent the visible, but to make the visible what we do not see. It does not offer us the familiar image of the world, but rather that of what we do not usually see." Okay, that quote, I got it from an article of the grandson of Miguel Delibes. And it's a casualty because Miguel, the grandson of Miguel Delibes, just got a book of his granddad out the same day as I printed my book, and he wanted to tell exactly the same thing about his granddad as I want to do about mine. So basically, currently we are living in a society that has a huge problem, and it's basically about digital immediacy, because of that we do not take care of what is happening around us, and we lost interest about people that surround us, and we only want to see like the overload of information that we got inside the social media instead of taking a look about the people that are surrounding us, and that leads to the loss of memory and about our real history. So that's really the reason that I wanted to do that book, because I think my grandfather had like a huge history and it's going to be lost. And if I didn't do that book, I think it would be lost. And as other families have huge histories, I want to be an inspiration to that other people that are going to read the book. It's not a book to be sold out. It's only a manner to my history and the history of my grandfather and the historic context to not get lost. So, about my grandfather, Francisco Quiñones. Francisco Quiñones, I think he was like the biggest person in the world, the more like real person that he wanted to help. He wanted to serve everyone around him. So he didn't have any kind of madness inside him. And I think he should be like an inspiration for everyone. So that's the reason that I made that book. So that leads us to the main objective, that is to develop an editorial design project in a photo novel format using a current composition, typography and materiality to rescue and preserve an orthographic narrative. And basically that leads us to the specific objectives, as you have read in the memory. I want to design a book that correctly reflects the biography of him, like to explore the use of white space, to incorporate photographies, and experiment as well with like typography, like real typography, and to analyze like the context and to investigate the post-war context. So for that, what I did was to investigate a reference that really I wanted to see in them like my book. So first, like one reference that was really important was the book cover of Romancero Gitano. Like it was the real inspiration of my book. Well, the material inspiration. And then I have like El Abismo del Olvido de Paco Roca, and it talks almost about the same thing. Like it's about history of post-war. So, and also I got inspired by the documentary archive of RRMH. So the files were scanned as I did in my book. So it was really important, that part. So then I devised the creation in phases. I did 4 phases. First, we researched and documented everything. So we did a compilation of like journals and everything. Then we made the conceptualization, ideation of how we were going to find the photographies to feel the history of my grandfather. Then I'm going to explain like why I finished that book that way. Then I did the design, the editorial thing in Adobe because I'm a graphic designer. And I finally did the production, I printed it, and I did the binding. And that's the result, as you can see. So the parametric definitions, I think it's something that I got to talk to about. So it's an A6 pocket. It's little, like it's really tiny, because I wanted to make it like really closest to really available for the readers. So it has asymmetrical margins of 9.6 millimeters with a bleed of 3 millimeters. And then the Garamond typography that I chose like has a reason, because I mean the books that were released during the post-Civil War of Spain were like having a typography that seems to this one, but I didn't want to use like the one that were used back then. And then the little typography fixed body text, it's because of the song of Manuel Serrat that was like the favorite singer of my grandfather. And he has a song that says aquella pequeña cosa, and I think it's something that the more little it is, the more you don't want to seem like you get more attention and it's more special. And then I did the scanned photographies and a huge visual research. I went to my village, and I remember that like 4 years ago, I did a photographic session with my grandfather, like looking to pictures that I put in that book. And then I went back after he died there, and I made a recompilation of the pictures that I chose with him, and I decided to put them in the book after scanning them, lecturizing them, and everything. Okay, so I'm going to explain the reason of the blocks of my book. Basically, my grandfather, when I was a child and my sister were a child, he wrote us Cosas del Abuelo. I mean, he wrote us the history of his infants. But the thing is that he died, so he stopped writing it. So that's the things that are written in. But I decided to continue his history because, I mean, when he died, he stopped by the infants. So basically, I reconstructed his history by the documentary photo novel, and by the chapter 14, I want to make people think that, I mean, if you do not get interest by the history of yours, it's going to get lost. So it's something that I really want to make people think about with this project, and it's the main reason of it. So the final results, as you can see in this book, is this little book. It's a simple book, but I didn't want to make like a huge thing because he was a simple man and he deserves it. And I remember when he was alive, like I talked with him about making that book, and I think it's the best way of finishing my degree, my graphic design degree. So as you can see, this is the book. This is the first chapter he wrote to us. Even my family hasn't read it because it was Cosas del Abuelo, I mean, only for his girls. So that's my grandmother and him when they were young. So the conclusions is that I think I did the objectives perfectly as I said, and you can see it as well. So I think people that are going to read this is like, by reading that book, like you can kill digital immediacy, because I mean, you take a break of like the overload of information and like you are reading what happened, what really happened at that moment. So at the same, you can reflectionate about the context of post-war because I mean, you know the history from books, but you don't know like the quotidianity of the real history. And I think it's really reflected in that book. So I'm really grateful for my grandfather. I think I have like a huge luck to live with him. So I want to thank him. I know he's with me right now. So gracias, abuelo. Tu marcha únicamente fue la apertura de mis puertas al agradecimiento infinito de haber coincidido contigo en esta vida terrenal. Hasta pronto. Mientras tanto, como tú bien decías, luces largas y retrovisores. So, this is my final degree project.
Welcome again.
Okay, so hi everyone, and welcome to this last presentation here of this final project. This is Sangre del Sur, comprehensive branding proposal and visual identity for an emerging brand based here on Granada. And we're going to start defining the presentation in the different phases of design thinking. That is the methodology that we've used for the development of this project. We're gonna keep outside the testing part, because that part is gonna take place once the brand is out on the market, because this is a real project. But we're gonna start with the empathy, and we're gonna know our client. This is Antonio Padilla, mostly known as Porras Murphy in Instagram, and he was born and raised here in Granada, in La Mala. You should know this town. He's a barber and also a jeweler. He works here in the center of Granada, and he has a really deep appreciation for the art of handcrafts. We can see it in both of his professions, barber and jeweler, and also he is pretty interested on his native culture. Not from a tourist point of view, most from this learning that we have from our past generations, about the way that they lived and the way that they work. So we need a definition to this project, and we start with defining the objectives. We want to redesign Sangre del Sur brand identity. We want to develop a visual identity and its applications, and also apply a strategic design to the positioning and implementation of the brand. Also, we have secondary objectives that are acquire skills needed to work in a real-world professional environment. Also, analyze this original graphic brand using measurable parameters, because we have a starting point that we are going to achieve later. Also explore elements from the Andalusian culture and collaborate with artists from Granada's folklore scenes. So let's get into the ideation. That is the biggest part of this presentation. And let's start with this graphic that we just said before. Antonio just gave us this. This was a logotype designed by an amateur designer. And we wanted to analyze it before work on it. So we find some pieces and some keys that were really useful at the moment we tried to change this graphic. In summary, it was a lack of versatility and a low pregnancy rate based on this horizontal form, and also an aesthetic mismatch with the typography, because this typography could bring us more into a Tim Burton's environment more than to an Andalusian culture environment. So we did some changes that were the key to the development of this logotype in that case. We tried to, we put Del Sur below Sangre, creating a rectangular block, giving more pregnancy to this icon, to this logotype, maintaining the icon of the goat inside of the logotype, and we did two variations. One more aggressive, and the other one with a typography more based on this Andalusian culture. And this gave us the introduction to a creativity process where we just play around with the typography and with the icon, trying to achieve one image that just create a good summary of what is Sangre del Sur. This was not just for sketches, it was a bunch of sketches, different sketches that just achieved here. This was a breaking point on the project, because now we are not 100% okay with the typography, but we like this typography. We are 100% okay with the structure, having the Sur below Sangre, and by now we are okay having the icon inside of the logotype. But as I said just before, we weren't okay at 100% with the typography, so we decided to auto-edit this typography, equalizing all the weights of it, and creating a different and more condensed typography. Once here, we wanted to connect this digital process with these values of Antonio Padilla, this appreciation for the handcrafts. So we printed the logotype, we got a parallel pen, and we did different sketches over it, having different keys on this image. The first key is the union between the A and the L. it wasn't really necessary. It was just breaking this left to right lecture of the logo, and also the dropping arm of the R on Sangre. And in Sur, it was really unnecessary. So we just create a union between the R and the E, and equal the height of the drop on the arm of the R in the word Sur. Having this more space, better kerning, and less condensed logotype with this manual touch. But also we were analyzing this process over and over, because we wanted to in the lecture, and we decompress this del in DEL. So now we achieve what is the final typography logo, but we can see this as an opportunity, we can see this as a problem, but we see it as an opportunity, because now we have two different things. We have an icon that is looking just down, that has a lecture from up down, and we have a typography logo that have a lecture left to right. So at that moment we decided to introduce ourselves to Antonio's town. We went with him to La Mala to spend a day with him, and we found something really important for the project. That are the windows at street level. Now it could sound a little confusing, but in these windows everything happens: conversation, gossips, after dinner conversations, and we denormalize not just these windows, even the rails that the windows has, and this voluptuous form that the windows has, having the opportunity to create an icon for Sangre del Sur that was a window to the Andalusian culture. So we keep playing with these graphics, keep playing with the S of the name, well, of the logotype that we have just at this moment, and by a request of the client, we introduce this icon that we just keep watching all the time, but in this voluptuous form that is more like a window to the Andalusian culture. So now we have finally the final logo of Sangre del Sur. But we need something, we need that graphic universe that goes around it. So when we were wanting a texture that just work pretty good with the logotype, but also have a connection with not the values, also the materials and the things that we are using. You can see here, these are the yogurts that Antonio gave us, and these are the products that they are going to sell. So this is made of silver 925. So we decided to look how the silver 925 has a look through the microscope. And we noticed that when you look this material through the microscope, you have a really rough texture that when you put it over the color red of the brand with a low opacity, we have a soft texture. We can see it really good with the projection, but we have a soft texture that really match with the logotype and with the image that we are designing. But we need more resources. We don't just need a texture. We also need resources. So we came back to this manual workspace. We printed the logo again, and we took a manual scanner, creating different ways of the logo just broke, and having these ink stains where you can really read, and you can keep reading Sangre del Sur in some kind, but it just matched the logotype and also the texture and behind it. So now we have all the resources, we have the logotype, we have the colors, we need to prototype. So we gave Antonio a technical manual about every typography, minimum sizes of printing and also for the screens, respect area of the logo, and how the different versions works over different colors and how the ink stains work over the colors and the textures. Also, we did some applications that were not real, but with this design we made the first real design for this project, that is the packaging. It's a craft box with a sticker over it. It's a decision made by the client because of a low budget of the project, but we did two of them. The red one to include the ring, that is the key of the collection, and the black one for the necklaces, so we can have a difference. Also, we need photography. Till now we didn't got photography, but we need two kind of photographies. We need detailed product photography and a corporate with photography with some narrative. We did before the detailed photography that we created a studio at home, having this detailed photo of the jewelry. That is going to be used in the future for sharing this in Instagram. That is going to be the main via of communication of the brand as a client request also. And with this photo shoot, we also got different photos that work for us as to create different a collection of posters that publishing to publishing the new collection. But now we need corporate photography. With a narrative, and we contact with two groups of Granada's folklore scene that are La Plazuela and Escorto, and we got response for both of them, but we keep the contact with La Plazuela for a future collaboration, but Tony, that is the singer of Escorto, was really deep into collaborate with us in this project. So we created a costumerism narrative, having these photos of Tony that really match with the values of the brand. We were looking for this aesthetic, and also we needed and we wanted a political positioning with this watermelon in the case of the Palestinian genocides. Also, this image were used to create advertising stuff. We have the permission of Tony to use this as a publishing thing, of course. And in conclusion, we went through all the objectives really good. We didn't manage to apply 100% this strategic design to the positioning and implementation of the brand, because this is something that is going to be done when the brand is out on the market. But with the secondary objectives, we acquire different skills. We analyze the original graphic. We explore the Andalusian culture, and we finally collaborate with the Granada artists from Granada's folklore scene. So thank you very much. I hope you like this presentation, and I'm here to answer any of your questions.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Carlos y hoy os presento mi trabajo de fin de grado, titulado Diseño editorial y compromiso social, creación de una revista de denuncia, crítica poliédrica. ¿Sabían ustedes que algunos de los movimientos sociales, políticos y culturales más importantes del mundo nacieron a través de una publicación? Ejemplos de ellos son el Manifiesto Comunista, escrito en 1848 en Londres por Karl Marx, siendo uno de los manifiestos más importantes e influyentes del mundo que sentarían las bases del marxismo. Y el Manifiesto de Adán en 1918 en Zúrich, escrito por el poeta rumano Tristán Tzara, en la revista de Adán número 3. Estos ejemplos que vemos en pantalla son la clara imagen y el ejemplo perfecto para poner en valor el diseño editorial. El diseñador gráfico malagueño Nacho Contreras nos dice: el diseño gráfico puede y debe convertirse en una herramienta de concienciación y de denuncia social. En el mundo globalizado en el que vivimos, las realidades sociales se nos presentan impuestas y en muchos casos también invisibilizadas. Esta es una de las razones por las que creamos un prototipo de revista llamado Crítica Poliédrica. La única dirección que tiene sentido es el diseño orientado a las personas, nos decía el diseñador gráfico Víctor Papanet, uno de los máximos exponentes del diseño social. Una de las razones por las que se ha realizado este prototipo en formato impreso es debido a sus tres valores: permanencia, materialidad y convertir la lectura en un acto consciente. Esto solo se consigue en el formato impreso, a diferencia del formato digital, como nos dice el estudio neuropsicológico de la revista de 2017 Journal of Self and Communication. Dime.
¿Sabes que la presentación tiene un ítem en inglés?
Sí, pero no comunicaron. El objetivo principal ha sido crear un prototipo de revista de denuncia social llamado Crítica Poliédrica, siendo su primer número Monopolio Perverso, donde nos explica sobre la temática de las grandes corporaciones. Y como objetivo secundario se creó la versión digital de la revista gracias a la web Anyflip y también una serie de productos de merchandising, como el póster, la marcapágina y la camiseta. La metodología se siguió gracias a la ayuda de un cronograma, pero podemos dividirlo en 4 grandes bloques, siendo análisis y documentación, creación y ideación, diseño y desarrollo y las artes finales. En la primera fase, para la recopilación de toda la información de este prototipo, se utilizaron herramientas con criterios de fiabilidad, como Google Académico, y a partir de estas surgieron otras, como la Enciclopedia Británica, Forbes, El País y la BBC. Para los referentes se dividieron en 2 bloques: los conceptuales, que en el primer caso tenemos el diario.es, que es una revista tanto en formato impreso como digital que nos narra sobre diferentes temas sociales. Algunos de ellos, como el caso de la vivienda, el caso también de la España vaciada, entre otros, con diferentes secciones y con expertos al tema a tratar. El siguiente caso, que también sería mensual, es Gazpacho, una revista que duró 1 año con 9 volúmenes y fue apoyada gracias al sector y Grupo Cultural de España en Buenos Aires. Y toca también diferentes temáticas sociales, como la pobreza, la igualdad de género, la diversidad cultural. En el tercer caso ya empezamos con las revistas trimestrales, siendo Abaco una revista que nos habla sobre temas de la cultura, con también diferentes perspectivas sociales. Y por último, tenemos Prisma Social, una revista también trimestral digital que no se puede encontrar en ningún kiosco. Esto es debido a que es una colaboración universitaria, como la Complutense de Madrid, La Rioja, que toca científicamente temas sociales. Para los referentes estéticos, algunos de ellos fueron, por ejemplo, el caso más famoso de entre ellos sería National Geographic. Es famosa por sus fotografías de grandes formatos. Luego tendríamos Experimenta, que es una revista que el mismo estudio afirma que es especialmente diseñada para jóvenes diseñadores gráficos y destaca también por su ilustración original. Y por último tendríamos Juego, que también toca temas de la sostenibilidad y lo hace desde un minimalismo y creatividad propia. Luego hicimos un estudio sobre el DAFO, el CAME, misión, visión, valores y también estudiamos su público objetivo, como nos dice la revista European Journal on Communication. El estudio fue realizado el año pasado y nos explica que las revistas en formato digital son especialmente famosas en grupos de 18 a 35 años y el formato impreso tendría más aceptación a partir de los 35 años. En la fase 2 de la metodología empezamos a barajar diferentes opciones para el naming del prototipo de revista y al final nos quedamos con crítica poliédrica. Crítica poliédrica nace de un espíritu crítico que analiza un mundo complejo, no lineal, desde diferentes ángulos, es decir, poliédrico. Se hicieron diversas opciones de la marca, tanto en positivo como en negativo, y un espacio reservado para la futura aplicación de carteles publicitarios. En la fase 3 ya se empezó por fin los primeros bocetos sobre la composición de la revista. El primero de ellos pues, sería el planillo que veis en pantalla. Y a partir de este se refinó más y se dio la maquetación definitiva del prototipo. El formato de la revista sería de 28 por 21 centímetros, a un tamaño menor a 1:4. Y el sistema de retículos principalmente es de 2 columnas para la redacción del texto, de la información, ya que es un formato muy cómodo de leer. Para las fuentes tipográficas se utilizaron Baskerville para la redacción del texto, siendo una tipografía con buen contraste y cómoda de leer, muy legible, y Futuran para la entradilla y las distintas secciones, haciendo un fuerte contraste entre estas dos. Para la imagen se utilizaron de diversas fuentes, por ejemplo, bancos de imágenes gratuitos, licencias atribuibles, IA modificada también, y también elaboración propia, como estas dos que veis en pantalla. En el caso de la portada, siendo uno de los puntos más importantes de este proyecto, se intentó resumir gráficamente la temática del mismo, destacando por sus colores vivos, y un apartado que hay que mencionar es que algunas revistas, no todas, añaden también la fecha de publicación, pero en este caso lo ignoramos debido a que la propia portada muestra el número del volumen y también eso restaría un poco de importancia a la ilustración. Todas las revistas, o la mayoría de ellas, cuando se trata de un primer volumen o van a ser lanzadas por primera vez al mercado, cuentan con un apartado de presentación que nos explica y resume el propósito con el que va a ser lanzada. En el caso del índice, ya podemos ver todas las secciones que componen este prototipo, siendo la primera de ellas la Editorial, donde se muestra el ideario del autor, los distintos perfiles monográficos, otros patrimonios, la entrevista que se accedió a un cuestionario a una persona de renombre, siendo el caso de Susana Zuba, que es socióloga y profesora de Harvard, donde nos explicarán las consecuencias de la inteligencia artificial en nuestro modelo social económico. Luego iría un artículo de opinión, noticias cortas como el crack del metaverso por parte de Facebook Meta y la imputación a Elon Musk por parte de la Fiscalía francesa. un apartado de curiosidades donde se nos explica el origen del juego del Monopoly y también el 90 aniversario de la película Tiempos Modernos de Charles Chaplin. Una sección de humor con un personaje creado desde cero llamado Eusebio, las recomendaciones multimedia relacionadas con la temática de la revista y por último la recopilación de toda la bibliografía de este prototipo. Aquí vemos en pantalla el primer apartado de uno de los perfiles monográficos, siendo el primero el biográfico y en el segundo caso el empresarial. Por último, en la última fase de la metodología, podamos ya apreciar cómo se ha encuadernado e impreso este prototipo. En este caso, pues se mostrarán algunas imágenes de cómo ha quedado impreso. Pero creo que sería muy interesante que lo pudierais apreciar eso. También podemos ver pues, algunas fotografías de la maquetación de los interiores. También, como he mencionado antes, se realizó el formato digital, que si alguien lo quisiera ver de forma más detenida, puede escanear el QR que aparece en pantalla. Pero lo voy a enseñar también de forma más resumida. Y por último, tenemos ya la serie de productos de merchandising, como el póster, los marcapáginas, y también la camiseta. Como conclusión final, podemos afirmar que se han cumplido con los objetivos, tanto el principal, siendo de diseñar y crear un prototipo de revista de denuncia social llamado Crítica Poliédrica, siendo su primer volumen Monopoly Perverso, y también los secundarios, crear la versión digital gracias a la web y Flip y la serie de productos de merchandising, como el póster, el marcapágina y la camiseta. Ya está. Sí.
The things we do things to us. Do we build our environment, or does the environment build us? Hello everyone, I'm Elena Moreno, and this is my final degree project proposal. Design, new technologies, and artificial intelligence. Application of parametric techniques in the creation of the costume jewelry concept. The aim of this project is to create the first costume jewelry collection for the new brand concept that blends parametric design, artisanal techniques, and new technologies such as the generative artificial intelligence. The project presents the pieces as a way to transmit the social, psychological, anthropological, and cultural context information, more than just fashion trends. It starts from the idea that the same value, like design, the love, and the friendship, can be seen differently depending the generation, the context, the language, or environment. The first collection focuses on the perception of time inspired by the 5 different generations that are actually in the society of Spain. The Alpha generation, the Z generation, millennials, the X generation, and the baby boomers. Each piece shows the different ways to understand the time according to the generation context. The young people have a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress, and this is represented with a lot of chaos, structure fragmented, straight lines, while the oldest have a lot of calm and continuous that are represented with the circular and smooth shapes. Why? The importance of this project comes from finding a gap into the actual market of costume jewelry. Although there are brands that create pieces based on emotion and personal experiences for the customer, but we didn't find anyone that represents the collective perception of different social groups about a specific social value. This project tried to fill this need by designing pieces or prototypes created from real data, surveys, and social studies. The project is important because it joins design, technology, anthropology, and social analysis. It offers a new way to understand costume jewelry, turning each piece into a representation of an emotion, data, and collective experience. Well, we have 6 goals in this project. The first one, designing a collection of 5 pieces of costume jewelry that blends parametric and experimental techniques using new technologies such as the generative artificial intelligence. The second one, develop the graphic identity for the costume jewelry brand concept. The third one, propose a methodological approach for designing pieces as transmitters of social values. 4, explore graphic techniques and finishes that provide differentiation and visual richness. 5, create a second life packaging that serves as a storage space for the pieces at home, ensuring their protection and durability. And the final one, plan and sketch the brand's website. Okay, what is the parametric design? It consists on algorithms and mathematical relationships. This technology allows us to work with a system of variables to create complex structures and forms that, in other way, it's impossible to create. These structures are flexible, ergonomic, and extremely adaptable. To start the project, we did a market study where we found brands like Sylvia Weidenbach, Tata Hadid Design, and Nervous System that use these techniques to create their pieces. In case of Sylvia Weidenbach, the final one, after the digital creation, she worked on their pieces by hand to give the final results. Unlike most of the analyzed brands, which focus mainly on fashion trends, the appearance of each of our pieces is a direct result of the research of the selected group. Therefore, the pieces are designed to be experiences through their texture, through their colors, their weight, and their ergonomic, allowing the user to experiment physically the concept of the collection. In the case of our target, we focus on people between 25 and 60 years old, middle class, and with interest in art, in design, and science. They are proud, bold, and stay up to date. They don't buy trends, and they research brands, the process of creation, and the material that we use to create their products. They want to connect with the product, see the story behind it, and see a statement pieces to express their personality or to start a conversation. Later, we carried out a survey to collect the data that we use to create the base algorithm of the project. We have 219 results, but as you can see on the screen, we only have 4 answers for the alpha generation. For this reason, we decided to eliminate this generation for the project. This algorithm was created by the following parameters. The first one, the alpha, is the base geometry of the structure. It is defined for the question, if you have to draw the concept of time to an alien, what shapes would you use? Most of the answers, as you can see, are circular, linear, and chaotic structures. On the second one, beta defines the texture. It is defined by the question, which texture do you associate with the passage of time, such as broken layered, smooth, and elastic textures. The third one, the force frequency, was calculated with the patient when waiting. It is defined by how long does it take before you get frustrated and close the tab. Alice tolerance and impatient created dynamic and chaotic shapes, while the patient created smooth and circular shapes. Finally, we have delta, defined by the question, do you like pieces that change depending on the angle that they were viewed? It is linked to the level of abstraction to the proposal. The algorithm was applied in Blender using the geometry nodes, and they were printed in 3D using PLD. Finally, the prototypes were tried by hand with a low-cost materials to simulate the final results, using the answer to the algorithms as a guide to create all the space. The packaging was personalized too to continue all the brand system. Okay, we started development creating the brand. We choose a color palette that mixes nature, disruption, human warmth, and the technology. For the typography, we selected Gunter, that is a typography that mixes a serif and a sans serif type that has a lot of personality and a unique style. For the rest of the brand, you will use Atkinson Hyperlegible, like you can see on the screen, because of its characters. They are created to be completely different between they, so it generates a lot of contrast and a lot of coherence at the same time between they and with the rest of the brand. Finally, we choose the name. It comes from the translation of different language of the word concept. And this is how concept, with a little adaptations, was created. Concept, design, and technology. We also create an isotype tool to be used as a graphic element in the different sites like social media sites, the website, and other use that we need. Later, we start creating the prototypes one by one. The first of all is a generation set with chaos, fragmented forms, and straight lines. It was a fragmented texture, a high deforming frequency, and a high mutability. Their colors are black, gray, and white, with a little touch of blue and yellow. This generation have a lot of anxiety and stress, so this is the representation of chaos. Here you can see the packaging of this piece. And this is the final result of the piece. The next one are millennials, with a lot of chaos, but it starts to be a little relaxed. It has circular shapes and straight lines. They have a straight, flexible and elastic textures, a medium-high deform frequency, and a high mutability. Their colors are blue, gray, orange, yellow, and green. They are the transition between the completely chaos and the search for relax, the calm. Here you can see a piece. And here you have the direction. The third one is the X generation, with a little bit more of relax. It starts to find the balance and the peace. It has a circular shape, flexible and smooth textures, a medium-low deforming frequency, and a medium-low mutability. Their colors are orange, red, green, and blue. Here we start looking for relax, and we start to enjoy your time. Here you have the packaging with all the products. Finally, we have the baby boomers, with a lot of balance and relax. There was circular shapes and smooth textures, and non-deformation and non-mutability. Their color are blue and red. They are the representation of the relaxed, stable, and calm. And here you can see their body. As you can see, inside the packaging, we have two parts. The first one that thanks the customers. And the second one who has all the information as the product, as the material, the context, the history, all you have to know about this thing. Yes. Yes. They explain all the materials. In the case of that generation, was created with metal and glass. The millennials with silicon and polymer clay. The X generation with polishers stone. And the final one, baby boomers, with a high temperature glazed ceramic. In conclusion, we will say that our goals have been mostly met. The first one has been adapted to a certain point. Instead of 5, we have developed 4 for the results of the project. The second one developed the graphic identity for the costume jewelry brand concept, has been achieved. The third one proposed a methodological approach for designing pieces as transmitter of social values, has also been achieved. We have stored techniques and finishes. We have created a second life packaging. And finally, we have created a plan and sketched the brand's website that you can see in our dossier. We conclude this final degree project with a proposal that, besides including a different methodology, also presents the concept brand as a social record in the form of costume jewelry. And now, tell me, the environment build us, or do we build the environment? Thank you so much.